My point takes you back to the relationship between Hegel, histories of art, religion, philosophy, and for Hegel, one of the things that art makes known to mankind, understanding itself. No less than the world in which mankind finds itself in sense history of art, history of expression, and supersensory sensory forms, since a primary purpose of art is indeed above all to make the divine the center of its representations. From the outset, however, Hegel, you possessed the rupture between modern Western societies and modalities as made known through art. And you know that the earlier times and places, rather than demand worship, today solicit a different sort of appreciation and response. So, no matter how excellent you find the statues of the Greek gods, no matter how you see God and Father in Christ, Mary, so assembly and perfectly portrayed, it's no help to bow a knee no longer. By looking back from the modern day vantage point, you can see that the breaks toward past attitudes transferred into our ideas instead of maintaining its earlier necessity of reality occupying higher places. Art considered as higher vocation and means for us things that pass. How? Hegel asks, and we have ended up in this situation. How has the historical development of art made known critical self-defense purpose standing, likewise the out of might, present and shed light on art's past and its pastness? In these questions that lead Hegel out of the doom is a position of hindsight, with once a narrate and explain history of art, and from the distant past point right up to the present day. Our modern conditions, according to Hegel, relate to the tripped artistic progress and moves from symbolic through classical and to romantic forms. New as Cantusformen, the chapters that follow have more to say about these three stages and their vantage points and various curious configurations, external sensations, form, inner contact. For now, though, a brief overview can suffice. For Hegel, art's first symbolic stage fails to achieve genuine beauty, leading us to associate it with the labels pre-art Werkkunst. In discussing the symbolic Hegel introductions, various cultural and religious perspectives, and among them the Persian, Zoroastrian, Iranian, Indian, which to say for Hegel is Hindu, Egyptian, Judaic, and Islamic. While of course desperate in appearance, these forms all share a vague abstract grasp of their subject, which explains their sensorial deficiency. Egyptian now offers a clear example of what Hegel meant in his symbolic nomenclature. In this case, imaginary imagery, a matter of hieroglyphics, symbolic forms from Egypt. The relationship between form, art, and content, between the sensuous appearances and concepts as they represent the only boiled down version of a fever, forever occulted from and occluded from view. Classic examples for a summary: the pyramids designed to contain the body of the dead. That is something that signifies morality and signals mortality, absence and empty negation of spiritual life. And the pyramid gives sensuous form to reality of interiority that has yet to understand the doubling down of pre-artistic forms. It has failed to grasp the true inwardness of human spirit. The second classical stage associated with Greek antiquity offers the decisive advancement. Unlike the symbolic classical art, archives true beauty that gives precious sensuous expression to a new conception of divinity, and hence the form of spiritual freedom that Greek religions enshrined. Though the very beauty of those forms and spiritual self-understanding is more perfectly seen in ancient sculptures, such as attempted by Buer's body and spiritual life of the gods, and human form of their statues, and more of a regulus revealing lie beyond bodily sensuous expression. A certain melancholy, and the blessed gods mourn, as it were, for the overblessedness of their bodily form. We read in their faces the fate of awaits them. and its development as the actual emergence of that contradiction between loftiness and particularity, between spirituality and sensuous existence, drags classical art itself into ruins. This ruin is giving classical form its romantic art, associated with the rise of the Western Christians and Christendom, which, as the classical gods were Satanists because of light the souls fall inside form, they belong to the spectator alone. The god of romantic art appearances is seeing, self-knowing, inwardly subjective, and disclosing nothing, crucial to both romantic art and religious alike. Just as the incarnation is premised upon a new relationship between God and humanity, the incarnation is premised to make us be the disjuncture between the material and spiritual realms, where the classical heart was conformed with itself in perfection, outwardly and inwardly, points out something wholly more subjective, beauty of inwardness. Unlike symbolic art, romantic art gives us rather a symbol than a spiritual truth that reveals and transcends sensuous realms of art. In this sight, for reasons poising, reforming, the defining culmination of both Christianity and Romantic art. Incited from the times of Reformation, religious ideas were drawn away from the wrapping of the elements, sans known back in inwardness of heart and thought. To my eyes, the painting that gives clearest visual forms to Hegel is about the romantic Kunstform and ceiling fresco of Tommaso Loretti. The fresco known Salad at Castino in the Vatican is surrounded by other paintings relating to the history of Christianity. So-called working of the fake, Council of the Trent, amid the so-called Counter-Reformation. Loretti here depicts the course of painted mediums, the triumph of Christianity. Hegel himself saw the pointing and painting the visited Rome fast, known and though deciphered upon its iconic emblem of the intertwined self-discoveries of both romantic art and religion.